Today's episode is part 2. We had part 1 last week. Such a powerful episode. It's power packed. You guys are going to love it.
So I want you to go into some of the your journey then from filmmaker. My son is right now shooting a movie in Utah.
Cool.
And he's a cinematographer and he lives in LA. The producer, I'm just trying to think if it was director, executive producer is Robert Redford's daughter.
Amazing. That's so cool.
He's having the time of his life. He's 24, he's single, and it's the time to be doing what he's doing. And he kind of evolved from doing music videos, and now he's doing and documentaries, because I saw you did that. So now feature films. And I thought about him and I was like, someday he may not want to do that. He may change and just, want to do something else, because it's quite a lot of work out there in the hot sun in Utah filming this video. I was watching his, we watch a movie, we just sit, we eat the popcorn, we enjoy the end. But there is so much that goes into filming. And you did all of that and you gave it up and moved to this. So that's quite a transition. Were you afraid?
Of course I was afraid. I think with any big change in your life, there's fear. And the biggest mistake you can make is I'll do it when I'm ready, because we're never going to be ready. So it's like, leap before you're ready, start before you're ready, and it will all work out. I wish I had done it sooner now. I don't need those 14-hour days, like your son's. And now if I was 25, it's a different story, but I'm not even close to 25 anymore. So
every leap you take is scary as hell. You're scared to death. I don't know why, but and then you get there and you're like, I'm barely working. I'm not working that hard to achieve this. And then you're like, okay, another leap. And then another, and then you take a really big leap. And then now I'm I just took my biggest leap, because I expanded my business during COVID.
Nice.
And so I've expanded 3 times. And this was the biggest one for me, because I never pictured myself doing what I'm doing. And here I'm doing it. And I just had the biggest celebration moment where I'm oh my gosh, I'm doing it and doing it well. And I'm I just had my largest month ever in business. Right. And I was just oh, this is so great. And I thought, oh gosh, I don't know if I should talk about how well I'm doing. I don't want to jinx myself. And then I saw this post by my friend Jen Gottlieb online talking about when you get that feeling where you feel the shoe is going to drop, that feeling of oh gosh, this is happening. Is this a fluke? I'm doing so well, but maybe I shouldn't talk about it, because you're worried, right? You're it won't continue. And she was going on about why that is just kind of superstitious nonsense, and that you actually, by talking about your achievements and celebrating them, you're more likely to have more achievements and more to celebrate, as well as any listener out there sees our confidence from what we were afraid of and achieved. And they're well, gosh, Allison was at her rock bottom, and she didn't have anything. And look what she's done twice. You were making films and now you're doing this. And both times you were equally successful. I think isn't that what it takes then, is just fully committing yourself to whatever it is you want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. Celebrate your wins, because the people who truly love you want to celebrate with you and they want to know. So don't keep them to yourself. And then as you win, you inspire others, just like you said, that they can do it too. And it's you give them permission. I can't tell you how many times someone has been well, it's like that old school thinking of you had to audition to be in a film. Now you can make a YouTube film. You don't need anyone's permission but yourself. So give yourself permission to do the thing. And when you do the thing, you inspire others. They can do the thing too. And you give them permission just by you doing it. And so celebrate it, show it, share it. It doesn't mean you're bragging. It means I'm sharing it. You guys, I did this. I've healed my body. I built this business, whatever it is that you're so proud of. And you can inspire others and help them do it too. I fell into consulting. Now I have a mastermind, all of these things, because people were like, how'd you write a book? How'd you do a podcast? And my whole COVID, I was teaching people how to write books. I didn't set out to teach people how to write books, how to market them, how to, it wasn't my plan. I teach people how to start podcasts. But that happened because people saw what I did and they said, I want to do that too. How do I do that? And then they're willing to pay for it. So the more you celebrate your success, you actually could get more clients and you can help more people. So it's really a win-win. And if anyone doesn't like it, guess what? You're not for everyone. So let them go with love, bye-bye.
And I just have to think how funny it is that my whole podcast for Friday is about celebrating your wins. And here I was still stuck in this, even though I was celebrating my wins, I still had a little remnant from trauma of the past where, because I was in this physically turmoil, abusive marriage, I literally had this where I always feel like the other shoe is going to drop. So like, I think when people have been traumatized, it's like PTSD, if I'm saying that right.
Yes.
It's like when you have that, you've been through a trauma, so you're always afraid it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
And so it was such a moment for me today when I recognized that I don't need to have that. I don't need to hold on to that anymore. I'm a big girl. I know how to take care of things now. I know how to stand up. I'm an empowered woman and I set boundaries for myself. And so I think a lot of us out there could recognize sometimes that we're still living in this space from like our wounds and our trauma and our inner child. And, I think the more you can grab a hold of the goodness of life and the celebration of life, it's going to take you away from the trauma.
Yeah, inner child work is so powerful. And one of the things that I learned and I help my clients do is really realize that an adult mindset cannot heal the wounds of the child. So we're thinking logically, here's all the things to do to heal. And the inner child is just like, I just want to know I'm loved and protected, right? And so sometimes it's as simple as giving yourself a hug, listening to some music and being like, I'm here for you, sweetheart. Talk to the inner child like a child. Don't come from the adult mind. You should be over this by now and all this judgment, because the inner child is like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. I just need some love. I need some protection. I need some healing. And so I love inner child work, but I feel like, because I guess because I didn't used to understand, I'd be like, oh, that's just some psychology BS. That's literally
what I thought it was woo-woo out there when I hear people talking about it.
Yeah. And now I'm like, have I connected with my inner child today? I better go put on some music and give her some love. It's part of my daily routine, right? But I used to think it was kind of BS. But now I realize, oh, that's how you heal your trauma. You heal the wounded little girl or little boy inside. It can be your 25-year-old self. It could be your 7-year-old self. It's when the trauma happened. And guess what? We all have multiple traumas. I don't care if your parents died. I don't care if you went to war. I don't care if you were made fun of on the playground. It could be, the worst thing you could think of ever, or the least thing. It doesn't matter. It's a traumatic moment that changed something in your brain in that second, and you kept it with you. And it's the reason why today you act a certain way, or you get mad at the guy in traffic who just cut you off. So I'm always talking to my little girl, just letting her know, I'm here for you. You are safe. You are loved. It's a process. Again, you don't do it just once. Hey girl, love you. Bye. You got to keep doing it. You got to keep coming back for her.
I just think it's like so true. Like, now that I'm 58, going to be 59 in September, and my children are raised, I think I've had a little more time to, and also the podcast and the personal development space, I've grown so much inner work, so much healing. And I think like just going back a little bit and understanding why I react the way I might, why I might think the way I do. And then, and then doing the work around that, it's so healing to your entire life. And so it was such a moment. And I think I was just like having this moment where I was like, the sky's the limit. And I was starting to feel like, oh, woo, let's set some more goals. And
yeah.
Instead of the shoe, I thought, let's just throw the darn shoes away and go barefoot. I've always wanted to anyway. I mean, that's me. I just like to be barefoot. I'm barefoot right now. And whenever I show up at the gym, my shoes are not tied because I wait to the last minute to tie my shoes. And there's a story surrounding that. So in the podcast, at the beginning, I say in my beginning opening to be who we are instead of who others would have us to be. And I feel that from the depths of my soul today, because I think back to, my mom was raised by a teacher. There was perfectionism, and I was this strong-willed child, and I wanted to be barefoot. And, back in the day, how, parents believed in spanking. I don't know if you do or don't, but I got spanked for going barefoot. And
funny.
Yeah. So do you see the correlation there? I got spanked for going barefoot, but that was just my innate self, my freedom self, the me that just wants to run through nature and, ride horses and just be free. Right.
Right.
My mom just didn't understand it. So I would get spanked, my shoes would go back on, and this was a process. And no matter how many times I got a spanking, I took those shoes off because I wanted to be barefoot. And in a way, growing up, I felt that I got punished for being myself. And so I just look at that moment as like, you should be yourself, absolutely, and no one should ever punish you for it, and you shouldn't punish yourself for it. And if you want to go barefoot, take off those darn shoes and go barefoot. And if you just be the authentic you, and don't let anybody dumb that down or shrink that down. And I know you talk a lot about that, about not shrinking and not worrying about others, what they think. And so I'd like you to just kind of tell us your philosophy on that.
I mean, I absolutely agree with you. And what a beautiful story of, restoring that inner child's faith in herself, like go barefoot, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, it's like, don't let anyone dim your light. There are lots of, unfortunately, energy vampires out there who will try their best to change you, to judge you, to put you in a box, to put you in a place. And sometimes it's friends and family members that we trust. And it's like, you can feel it. And when you feel it, you get that resistance. And part of you is like, oh, this doesn't feel good. And part of you like, oh, well, I can change for them. Stop. Do not change for anyone, unless it's just like, okay, I can put the dishes away tonight. Unless it's something like that, you do not dim your light, do not change who you are. If you want to go out there and start a podcast, start a YouTube channel, whatever it is you want to do in the world. My secret dream is to be retired and be 80 years old. And I want to be the local lounge singer at the dive bar, and people come, she only plays from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock on Thursdays. And it's like, everyone's there and waiting in line to see the old lady on the piano, right? Whatever it is that your heart desires, do that thing. And the people that are not on board, that do not support you, let them go. Do your thing, because the worst thing you can do is conform to be what others want you to be, because that is not living authentically. That is not using the gifts that God gave you, right? And we all have those gifts. We all have skills, abilities. We're all creative. We all want to do something bigger and better in this world. So don't let anyone dim your light, because it's there for a reason. And it's only it's like the more light you have, you're going to shine brighter and vibrate higher. And so when people are vibrating lower and trying to pull you down, it's easy to get pulled down, right? So make sure the top 5 people that you're spending the most time with, whether it's online or in person, are vibrating at a high frequency and are supporting your every move and are your biggest cheerleader, and be their biggest cheerleaders as well. And never try to dim anyone else's light. And if you don't like what someone is doing, you know, I tried to change my father. My father sat me down and he said, this is not going to work for me. I'm making him garlic juice and like all this stuff for his liver because I'm thinking I'm going to cleanse him and heal his cancer. He said, this isn't going to work for me. And if you continue to try, it's going to be a problem between us. It's going to create animosity. He said, I don't believe in it. If I don't believe in it, it won't work anyway. And I really had to sit with that and make sure that I could be the person he needed me to be in his dying days. So the hardest thing I had to do was give up trying to change him so that we could have a wonderful relationship until the end. So if someone's trying to change you, sit them down and say, it's not going to work for me. And if they can accept that, you can keep that relationship. If they can't, bye, Felicia. Let them go.
Sure, on that one. And I love what you said about that, you know, nobody's going to change you because you're the only one. You're the change maker for yourself. And somebody's thoughts, ideas, inspiration may cause you to decide to change, but nobody is going to change you. And I think sometimes people have trouble, which I think was what was going on with my mom. We were so different, we're so opposite. And I think that she just didn't know how to deal with the difference. And you have to accept people the way that they are because we're all innately different and we all have our gifts and strengths that to bring to the table. So accepting others as they are without judgment, but also accepting yourself as you are without judgment. To me, if you get anything from this podcast today, that would probably be one of the biggest, other than food heals. Oh my gosh. And I want to dive into that. What are some of the top things for people that they can do to, like, that you do, that are easy and they can just start right now to help with their healing, with just being healthy in their bodies?
Well, I think one of the things that people immediately think to do is deprive themselves of something. So I take the opposite approach. I go, what can you add in? Can you add in a green smoothie every day full of your favorite fruits and vegetables and protein powders? You know, you can find lots of recipes online. Or can you add a green juice every day? Can you add some vitamins and supplements? Can you start a new fitness routine? What can you add to your life? What can enhance your everyday? What can make you start feeling better immediately? So if you're not juicing or smoothieing, that's a no-brainer. Start there, see how you feel, see how much better things get. If you're not eating a lot of plants, start adding a salad or a fruit bowl to your diet every day. And I don't mean a boring salad with lettuce and some, you know, carrots on top. Like, put a load of vegetables in there and make some delicious, you know, goddess tahini dressing or something that's not, you know, some, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to name brands, but like some filthy ranch or something.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes not to say names. You want to like, la, 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 la.
Yeah, like make your own ranch or something, but like, you know, what can you add, not take away? Because I think the biggest mistake people make when they're trying to get healthy is they go, oh, well, I just can't eat this. I have to work out. And they take all these things away, and then they make working out a very, like, you must do. And so it takes the joy out of it. I love working out, but if I don't feel like it, I'm not going to go, you must do this, and judge myself if I don't. Instead, I'm going to go, I need a different form of self-care today. What does that look like? Right? And so then you're going to do something else that's going to bring care to your body. Instead of going, oh, I didn't go to the gym, I'm such a POS, give me some chocolate cake, right? So you have to approach it without judgment and with just like, what can I add today? Can I add a 15-minute meditation? Can I add calling that friend that I love so much that makes me laugh, right? What can we add to make our diet better, to make our joy higher. And then you can start taking things away. Once you start feeling better, because you add the smoothie, you add the nutrition, you start feeling fuller longer when it comes to what you eat. So you're doing these green juices, you're doing these smoothies, whatever it might be, you're starting to get more nutrition. So your body is automatically going to stop craving the burger and fries or the sugar or the dessert. And so that's when you can start going, all right, maybe I don't need a slice of chocolate pie every night or ice cream or whatever your vices, we all have them. There's no judgment on any of it. But that's when you can start to slowly take things out. Now, that advice is probably for most people. There's some people who want to go overnight. Okay. You want to go overnight, plant-based diet, changed my life. Vegan is not the same thing. You can eat Oreos on a vegan diet. I believe in eating plant-based, which is I personally eat no meat, no dairy, no eggs, but that doesn't work for everyone. So plant-based simply means more plants than meat, dairy, cheese, etc. Right? And so if you can go plant-based, the faster, the better. Science has shown us time and time again. You can get all the facts from nutritionfacts.org. Dr. Michael Greger also has an amazing podcast who studies all the research that is done and breaks it down in a way that we can understand. The research every year, repeatedly year after year, shows the most anti-cancer diet is a plant-powered or plant-based diet. So get more plants, you will heal, you will feel better. So that's the step that people can take, is get more plants, start a smoothie, start a juice, add things in. And for the people who want to go overnight, go plant-based and it'll change your life. It will.
So you went vegan. What are the biggest things that you noticed from going vegan?
So I did not do this overnight. I slowly gave up things. I remember I read Skinny Bitch, and that book made me give up chicken, but not everything else. Like, I don't know why. There's no rationale. It just is what it is. I gave up beef as a child because I saw a cow being abused, and I said I will never eat a hamburger again, but it didn't translate to other things. And then I started doing plant-based for the health of it because it was the most anti-cancer diet. But your question was, what have I seen? I remember the biggest change I saw was I gave up dairy, and my face, I don't think I've had a pimple since. My face cleared up. So
everybody's shedding their dairy right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're watching the video,
okay.
Oh, I mean, it's so life-changing. Like, people think that I've just had a facial. I do have ring lights on me right now. I'm not going to lie. But people think I've had Botox, all the things. My skin is in great shape, and I have a very light skincare routine. It's not like I'm doing a million things. Right. And it is because giving up dairy changed everything. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to change everything for you, but maybe, if you have a gluten sensitivity or gluten allergy, or you have a dairy sensitivity or dairy allergy, giving up that one thing can be life-changing overnight. How do you know if you're allergic? Because gluten-free is a total buzzword right now, but not everyone has a gluten problem. Right. So find out, get yourself tested by an allergist, by a functional medicine practitioner, and find out what your actual food sensitivities are, which is food sensitivity you can have every few days, not every day. And a food allergy means, cut it out. Right? And that can change your life in an instant, but it's different for everybody. Some people are allergic to a plant, like an avocado. So it's not just sugar, dairy, meat, etc. It might be a plant that you're allergic to. So find that out, and that can change everything very quickly.
And that's why one diet doesn't fit all. And backing up what you said a little bit ago about adding in, I think, like, crowd out the food, the junk food, by eating good food. Like, the more good food you eat, you're going to be full, for one thing. Right. And then you start learning that, oh, this is delicious. Why do I want to eat something that's going to make me feel sick, tired, and sabotage myself, right? And then I think also it's the same way with relationships. Like, if you're around toxic energies and toxic people, if you stop thinking about getting rid of them, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm just saying, like, start thinking about adding in, what more positive experiences can I add into my life? How can I add in more positive people and hang around people that lift me up and build me up and cheer me on? And then watch how your life changes just from the crowding out philosophy, crowding out toxic things by adding in the good things, I think. And like, when you were talking about the veganism, it really intrigues me. I'm not vegan, but I have went a little more plant-based lately. I still am a carnivore, but I am kind of adding in much more plant-based food. Now, how are we to get our proteins? I know this is on the mind of a lot of people that are listening. When we go vegan and we've cut all this out, what are the best ways?
Yeah, so one of the things that I frequently tell people, and there's an entire book about this by Dr. Garth Davis, Proteinaholic, and what he says in the book, which is funny because I used to say this to people before the book came out. Then I interviewed him on the show and I was like, my mind is blown. Is that there aren't people dying of a protein deficiency. People are dying of chronic degenerative diseases, lifestyle diseases caused by the food that we eat, caused by artery clogging shit. Excuse me, I hope I can't curse that. That is in our typical Western American diet. And so for those who want to go plant-based, just remember there are protein in plants. There is protein in spirulina and chlorella and supplements and protein powders, and lots of plants are full of protein. And now there are so many plant-based alternatives, meat alternatives, and yes, they are a processed food, but if you are making a swap, it's a better swap and you're going to get all the protein that you need. So just like the Got Milk campaigns that I kind of grew up with, you probably, that was years of being convinced that milk does a body good. That was a marketing campaign. So Dr. Garth Davis says, the protein thing is a myth. It's a marketing campaign because no one is in the hospitals dying because they didn't have enough protein. People who are plant-based and eating an adequate amount of protein or eating less protein than a meat eater are thriving compared to people who aren't. And so I know it's scary. And I'm not the militant vegan in any way saying everybody must do this. I'm saying this is what worked for me, but you have to figure out what works for you. We know eating more plants is better for your health, for the environment, for animal agriculture, all of the things. However, if you want to get your protein from meat and you're eating mostly plants, you're probably going to be just fine, very healthy individual. So it really is, like we both have stressed, an individualized approach, but I've had no problem getting all the protein I need on a plant-based diet, no problem at all.
Wow, I love that. And I know many people are perking their ears up right now. I have a lot of people in the studio that have been going more plant-based. And I find myself right now at this stage in life, post-menopause, craving less meat. I'm more craving vegetables and fruit, and I just had a green smoothie before this, and that's unusual for me because I've always I hate to say the word, but I've always been a carnivore. And so, I mean, you can, like we said in the beginning, you're not cement, so you can evolve and change things up and see how they work for you. And I also heard you talk about two more things that really intrigued me. And my mentor, Louise Gittleman, always talks about the oil pulling, but my other friend, Nicole Monier, talks about the scraping the tongue. So if you quickly could just go over theirs, and I don't want to keep you too much longer, for everybody out there, because I know that they're very good tools for your health.
I love those tools, and I'm not an expert, but you can just look this up, but it's so amazing. You can take, they sell the oils specifically made for oil pulling, but if you don't have it, you can use something like coconut oil if it's not in its solid state, if it's in its liquid state. And what happens is you swish with it just like you would mouthwash, but for as long as you can stand it. And then what it does is it pulls the toxins out, because we store a lot of toxic stuff in our mouth, of course, because this is where we're eating. So every time we are giving into that food craving, and there's no judgment there. We're all going to give into it once in a while. I want everyone to enjoy their life. My vice is wine. It used to be sugar. I've kind of curbed that habit, but whatever it is, every time we put something in our mouth, it's absorbing, not just, going in our stomach or digesting it, but it's absorbing in our mouth and our teeth and our gums, and things get stuck in there, which is why, of course, flossing and brushing is very important. But oil pulling is next level. And then tongue scraping. I remember my ex sharing this story with me, because I would teach him all the alternative medicine hacks, and he would listen to maybe 30%. He started that tongue scraping. You just buy a little tongue scraper. They're like $2. They're nothing. Amazon, CVS, whatever. You go to the back of your mouth and it takes all the gunk that's stored in the way back, pulls it forward, and then you spit it out. So you're not going to swallow it, because what's happening is like all that bacteria back there, we're just swallowing. That's why they don't want you to swallow your toothpaste after, when you're a kid, you swallow your toothpaste, you don't know any better. And your parents are like, oh God, don't do that. That happened to me. But, so you scrape everything off. And when my ex started doing that, he was like, I haven't been sick since I started doing this tongue scraping. So I think it's amazing. I think taking care of your teeth is so important. In Chinese medicine, every single tooth is related to a part of the body. And I am, again, no expert on this, but if that is the truth, I want to make sure that every tooth is in good shape, because this tooth might be representing my liver. This one might be my gallbladder, right? And so the connection we have, there's connections in our feet as well, right? That's why they do the foot massage and they have the acupressure points that you can put your feet on. This is all the alternative medicine stuff that I geek out on. That's next level after, you study nutrition, then you go alternative medicine. Woo. And so there's all these pressure points in the feet. And then same with the teeth, every tooth is related to an organ. So you want to keep your mouth as healthy as possible. So when you are eating, not the best, or even when you are eating the best, like stuff gets stuck in there. When something is stuck in here, it's like correlating to an internal organ. So I'm all about brushing and flossing like you normally would. And then tongue scraping for your digestive health. Health is really good for immune system, is very good. And then I thought there was one. Oh, the oil pulling. Absolutely. These are big why nots. If you can do them once a week, like we said, add things in to boost your immune system, you're going to start feeling better. And if you can do it every night, more power to you. I can't do it all every night, so I do as much as I can every night. And I make sure to do enough so that I'm always feeling good. And your mouth will feel so clean. I don't know. It's like when you get out of the shower, you have a clean mouth, you just feel really good. So, sometimes doing that in the morning to start your day can be a great wake up.
Yeah, I mean, I had toxic mercury at one point, and so we took the fillings, like they were actually right underneath my gum, and that's the way they used to put them, and so they were leaching sulfuric mercury out, which was, I felt every weekend, I would say to my husband, I feel like I'm being poisoned, and I don't know what it is, but I just feel like I'm being poisoned. And I was, right through my bloodstream with the mercury that was in my fillings leaching, because they were decaying under the gum and they weren't showing up on the x-ray. And when I went to this guy that gave me like a blood analysis, tissue mineral analysis, both in the blood test and in the hair, it showed the toxic mercury. So then we started hunting down the culprits. And one, I was eating orange roughy, which is highly, has high mercury every day because I was doing fitness competitions. And then the other was the fillings. And I just thought, oh gosh, it's this competition diet. It's sucking all my energy.
Right.
And it wasn't. It was totally the fillings. Once we took the fillings and we chelated, I had a biological dentist take them out. So, because you do not want them to go even worse into your system. I was a new woman. I was 100% energy back. We chelated out the mercury with some like zeolites and, rather than doing the other kind of chelation. And I'm telling you, I had a new lease on life. Literally, I did everything I've ever wanted to do since I turned 50 because I was so sick from that. And I just think people don't realize how important our teeth and our mouths are. So I loved the podcast I heard with you and your co-host talking about your teeth. And the other thing I did not realize and recognize that you guys brought up, I did not know teeth could heal themselves.
That's all Susie. So that's an episode from maybe 4 years ago or something like that, because Susie is like a tooth expert. So she is the one who brought it all to my attention. We've got to do an episode on this. So I'm glad you listened to that one, because it's been a while and you can learn a lot.
It was the beginning. I went back to the beginning to be like, who is Allison?
That's so sweet. But Linda, it's such a good point that you bring up. And I'm so glad that you got your toxic mercury fillings removed, because I had them too. And I had mine removed. And the thing that I don't always say, because it is controversial and people think you might be a little crazy, both of my parents had metal mouths. They had so many toxins leaching into their system. No wonder my mom had multiple sclerosis. Then top that off. So you've got all the mercury and crap, because think of back then, you know, my parents would be in their, you know, 65 or 70s now. Think of all the crap they were putting in back then when it was still experimental besides mercury. So they had gold, silver, all kinds of colors in the back. That's just what they did during that certain time period of baby boomers, right? And so my mom had all of this toxic stuff leaking in, probably causing the autoimmune. Then because of her autoimmune, she was on a ton of pharmaceutical drugs, because one would be for pain relief. The next would be because the pain relief would give you a vertigo side effect. So the next one was for vertigo. So it was just pill after pill after pill. Well, this toxic concoction, no wonder she had cancer and carcinoma of unknown origin, because it's multifactorial, and then probably eating the standard American diet didn't help. But when you take all those things together, the body cannot heal itself. It cannot survive. And so that's what happens. That's why we have all these chronic conditions, all these autoimmunes, all these cancers. My father had a metal mouth too. So liver cancer, you might think, oh, he drank too much. Well, sure. I drink a glass of wine every night. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. And guess what? I feel amazing. I got no cancer, but I don't have a metal mouth and I eat like a champ. You know, I'm not perfect, but I eat a lot better than I used to. And so I think about their situations where that was never talked about or addressed. And there's a great documentary, Gerson.org is a place where they heal cancer at a higher success rate than Western medicine. And they have a number of documentaries, and I can't remember which one it is, but in one of them, they show the exact thing you're talking about of removing the toxicity from the mouth, and they show exactly what it does to the body, how it's constantly leaching fumes constantly all day long. So no wonder you were feeling awful.
Right? And I don't feel like that anymore. And I feel great, and I have energy, and I've recognized all of my dreams. So I had to set more goals, you know?
Amazing. Yes.
So I'm just saying, like, the difference is like night and day. I just remember the moment that I had, the moment where I laid my head down on the table. It was 8 a.m. and we had just had a realtor at our house. I think we were refinancing or something back then. And I laid my head down. I was so exhausted. I could not wait for him to leave. And why am I that tired? Like, why? Yeah. And so I remember going to the holistic doctor, and after we had done everything he suggested, when I went to him and I said, I'm not tired anymore, I don't have to take a nap, I almost started to cry, because I was so exhausted, and I'm a fitness person. Yeah. Like, that is not good for your career to be so tired, right? You're supposed to be an energizer.
Yes.
So
yeah, and it can lead to all kinds of things. And so if you are chronically fatigued, is it because you have undealt with trauma? Is it because you have a metal mouth? Is it because your nutrition is poor? There's so many things it can be, but if we start to realize I can take my health back into our own hands, it empowers us, right? So you discovered, oh, maybe I should do something here, right? And so as we make these discoveries and heal ourselves, and I'm not going to lie, healing takes time, but you just got to take it step by step, and you will start to feel better every step. It's like the curve is like this, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? But you're always going up. And so just don't give up is my message. Because like you said, like if you hadn't discovered that, you would have been like, oh, this nutrition thing doesn't work. It does work. You just needed the next level of taking the fillings out, right? Or taking the fillings out, you go, it doesn't work. Well, you still got to change your nutrition. So it's like,
yeah, like I was, really, literally, I was poisoning myself. I was being poisoned for real. And so I think many times our intuition and our gut feelings, and that thing that I said, I feel like I'm being poisoned, that is the clue. That is the clue. Yeah. And if you can really just be like, oh, I feel like I don't digest my food well, or, you know, why do I need 12 cups of caffeine a day, or whatever it is that you're doing, there is a root cause, there is a reason, and getting to the root of that. And also just thinking, can I make a better choice in every moment instead of overwhelming yourself with the health? Like, how can I make a better choice right now? What is the best choice I can make? And I think that's the key. And this has been so great. I've enjoyed every moment with you today, Allison. And where can people get your book, get you on social media, and the name of your podcast again for everybody?
Yes, the podcast is Food Heals. You can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. The book is also called Food Heals. You can get it on Amazon, and it really helps if you get it and you like it and you leave a review. That always helps me out. I'm on Instagram as my main social media. Got 2 accounts. At Allison Melody TV is for my personal and business entrepreneurship ventures, and at Food Heals Nation is all my food and nutrition stuff. And I've got a food freedom course at dropthefoodshame.com. So find me anywhere, PM me on Instagram. I always reply.
And I love what you said earlier about the giving yourself permission thing. What is just like one empowering thing that you can say to all the listeners today so they can kind of give themselves permission to step into a better life?
Yeah, I mean, if your goal is to help people, let's say, and you help yourself and you change your diet and you lose all the weight, or you build that business and you make all the money, and whatever you've done is there to inspire, you can inspire others with, that is now the new gift you get to share with the world. And there are less people helping people than there are that need help. And so everything that you can share with your friends, family, colleagues, followers, fans, once you get to the online space, it is a disservice to the world not to share your gifts, whatever they might be, not to share your transformation, not to share your success. It is a disservice. So share and shine your light bright. And by shining your light bright, gives others permission to do the same.
Wholeheartedly amen to that. I've loved every minute with you today, and you are a beautiful soul. So thank you so much for sharing your light with everybody on this show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Linda, and the rest of the Sisterhood of Sweat. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you.
And thanks everybody for listening to this episode of the Sisterhood of Sweat. Make sure to get Allison's book, check out her podcast, and write a review. We always love to hear from you. We love to know what you think about this episode. And follow us at Sisterhood of Sweat on Instagram. And what are you on Instagram? Are you Food Heals?
Food Heals Nation and Allison Melody TV are my 2 accounts. And that's where I spend most of my time. I'm barely on Facebook or LinkedIn. So Instagram's where my jam is.
Perfect. Peace out, everybody. Keep on keeping on. Until next time.